Well, here we are back on the trail. It's Tuesday, and we're going back to bite the bullet. Hello, everyone. My name is Wayne.
And I'm Rebecca.
And we are your Bourbon Journey.
Welcome to episode 63 of Bourbon Trail Tales and Tastes. Yes, it is March 29th, just of 2026, so just a few months ago, we made our second visit to the Bulleit Frontier Whiskey Distillery. But actually, this was the first time we had done the distillery tour, which was very fun. And I did make note, our tour guide that day was Jeremy, and he did a wonderful job. What do you recall, Wayne?
Well, we went to the same building that we had previously gone into for our first round. The one big difference this time, first time we were there, it was rain. This time it was actually an average day. And went inside and waited around until they called us up to the front to throw us on the bus and drive us that long distance of, 3/10 of a mile.
Yeah, less than a half a mile, I'd say.
Wasn't that far. And it was a very nice trip.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. It's a pretty new distillery. I think it's from 2015 or something like that when they started production there. I'd have to check my dates to be certain. But it's been just a little over 10 years they've been producing there. And it's very modern. Not as modern, I would say, as Heaven Hill Springs Distillery, but it's still built in the last 10 years, so it's pretty modern. Unfortunately for us, because we like the sights and smells of a distillery, their production was shut down when we were there. So that's kind of a bummer. You don't get to hear all the sounds and smell all the fermenting and everything else, but it was still really good. I thought Jeremy did a great job. We had a pretty large group. I think there was like 20 people in our group. And I recall going in, we'd stop at different places, but we went in and we got to walk in at least and see where the cookers are, where the fermenters are, though there was nothing cooking or fermenting. And then we went where the big column still is. And I was like, one of the cool thing was we came out from there and they had, I guess, an old column still that they don't use any longer. And it was broken apart where you could stick your head in and look around and see what it's all about. That's about as close as I've ever gotten to one, I would say, except maybe during my Vendome tour. But what's something else you remember from being inside?
Well, I remember definitely the column still part. That's the thing I absolutely remember the most. And the closest I think we've come before was Stitzel Weller had like part of their column still out. And it was, I guess it was a big still. But anyway, that's the only place I'd seen one up close, but this one here was actually opened up in a way that you could actually really almost look inside it and get an idea of the internal workings, which wasn't a lot, but it was really neat.
You could really see the plates up close and see all the little holes and where everything goes through during that process. They also had, right there for us to look at, were the barrels. They had them palletized. I guess they used palletized warehouses. They were pretty specific about that. But we didn't get a chance to go to the rick house, so it was great they at least had those in the distillery in the hallway. Obviously a planned stop for us to look at that. So that was pretty cool. Then we went down to the yeast part. What did you think about that?
Yeast was cool. Not too many places that we go talk about the yeast or give you kind of a little bit of a heads up or a close-up look at the process. And that was pretty neat.
And they had a whole wall of what I would call scientific looks at them. They've blown up by a microscope hanging on the wall. So you could see what each different yeast strain, they had them labeled, what it looks like, and they're just also different. And then they had this little spray bottle where you could spray and smell what it smells like, what it's supposed to, this is a fruity one, or this is a spicy one, or whatever it was. So I thought that was really kind of geeky, fun, cool, something very different. But then we got back on the bus and headed over to the regular visitor center for a tasting. And what do you recall about the tasting, Wayne?
Well, we did the same thing that we did before, and that was we did the sensory part. And first time that I did the sensory part, I was really beginning to wonder if I should get involved with bourbon, because it's like they turn the lights down low and they're playing funky music, and it's like 60s psychedelic, pot smoke and LSD dropping type weird stuff. Like, what the heck's going on? But, in seriousness, they were showing you how to find scents and align that with your palate. So they would have a little shaker of, say, nutmeg, and you'd shake that, and you'd smell it. And then you'd smell the bourbon, and then you would go ahead and then you would try it. And so That part is really cool. And I really recommend it to people that are out there. If you haven't done this tour, that you do this tour. It is really neat.
To be honest, the first time we did it, I was so enthralled with it. Wayne was thinking we had gone on a weird kind of hippie trip, but I thought it was so cool. And then I couldn't figure out what those little brass things were called. So I asked Jeremy this time, I said, what are those things called? Because I was wanting to find them last time. And they're little tea, they're for making tea. Like if you had tea leaves and you were going to steep that. So that's what those little containers are. But then they take the pull off of them and then they dry out their own herbs and things to go in each one. I think the basic Bulleit bourbon had vanilla and oak in it. So that's what you're expecting to find. So you'd smell it by itself and then you'd shake this up and smell it and then you smell it again. And it's like all of a sudden your senses are awake, right? So I think it's really cool. I kind of like to create one of my own experiences like that. And I have the little things bookmarked on Amazon. I'll find it buying some at some point. But then I got to figure out what to put in all the little containers. Anyway, so we ended up, after that was over with, we of course went to the gift shop and bought a few things. Shocking, but we also bought a 10-year. We tasted the 10-year in the tasting, but that day they had a special offering, so that's going to be on the table. It's going to be our second taste. So these are two things we bought that day, and we're going to share them with you. It's the first time we're opening them up.
Yep.
So I'll start with the very first one, which is their barrel proof bourbon. Bulleit Bourbon Barrel Strength Batch 8 is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey by Diageo. It's sourced from undisclosed Kentucky distilleries, but aged and bottled at Bulleit Distilling Company. The signature mash bill is a high rye bourbon, typically 68% corn, 28% rye, and 4% malted barley. This is non-age dated, but at least 4 years. The proof is 121.8. The suggested retail price is $60, and that is also what we paid for it. It is uncut and non-chill filtered, aged in level 4 char barrels with a level 2 char head. We purchased this on March 29th, 2026 at the Bulleit Frontier Whiskey Experience. This is one we hadn't had before, the barrel proof. We had gotten a couple different ones on different parts of the trail before. I think actually at Stetzel Weller we'd gotten our first 10-year, but we drank all that. So, and we have your basic Bulleit and your basic Bulleit rye. And truth be told, one of the reasons we haven't replenished those is they're a little bit lower proof and they're not really in our wheelhouse. Although the rye makes a pretty good cocktail, I will say. So I was excited. I said, let's go ahead and try this barrel strength. So let's do it today. Okay. I can tell it's a high rye mash bill.
Yeah. I do get a little bit of rye component. It's kind of spicy.
Yeah, cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, almost all there at one time. So I can't really differentiate between them.
Yeah, it's kind of a conglomerate of smells. Mm-hmm. And not one of them's really coming to the top. Maybe the closest is, I'm thinking maybe like an allspice.
Now, are you getting a sweet component with this?
A little bit.
I'm mostly focusing, the spices are coming forward for me. Maybe a caramel? Caramel lunch?
I'm not getting a caramel.
Okay.
I keep getting this idea that there's like an allspice in this.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know why.
But what sweet thing are you smelling?
It's almost like confectionery sugar. And, I could be just reaching. I'm not sure.
Well, let's give it a taste and maybe it'll come out with some more flavors when we taste it.
Cheers to the barrel strength. Cheers.
Cheers. I'm getting a nuttiness on it right off the top with that.
I can tell there's rye in it. Mm-hmm. The rye is really forward, but it doesn't come off like a rye whiskey. But the rye makes it spicier. Mm-hmm. And I'm almost at the same time getting a little bit of a fruity component, almost like a little bit of an apple or a pear, which is odd.
No, I think you're making a lot of sense because I was getting a sweet note on the nose, but not able to identify it. Like I said, it wasn't really caramel or vanilla, but I think if I go back now, it's more fruity. And that spice, the allspice is really hitting me really hard. But I feel like you're right. I feel like it's more apple is where I would go with it. Yeah, I think you're right on target there. It's got a lot of pop going on. It is definitely zinging. Mm-hmm. So you get something that's 121 proof and a lot of rye spices in it, and it's going to make you zing a little bit. So Wow. It's got a really long finish too. It is really warm. I'm getting lots of cinnamon on the finish. Are you?
I am just getting a lot of warmth right now. I haven't even thought about the finish as far as any flavor, but it's going down warm. It's still going down warm.
Yeah, it's always interesting after you've had a chance to taste and let it sit on your palate for a while, you go back and the nose is enhanced because your tongue is now interacting with your nose more.
Toward the back for me is Allspice. That's really weird for me. I all of a sudden I've been picking up these spices recently.
I'm getting little pops of clove, that flavor profile can come from the Allspice, but I'm feeling that spice all the way through. It starts on the nose, you got it on your palate, and then you've got it on the finish as well.
For me, the back is Allspice, and I can't recall a time before that I've made that statement. Normally I get cinnamon or black pepper or white pepper or leather or tobacco or, some pepper. But Allspice, no, this is Allspice all in the back. Interesting.
Well, let's move on to our second bottle, which was a limited release. I'm not sure if it's still available or not, but we were pretty excited about it. We did taste it there first to make sure because we heard it's kind of polarizing. So let me tell you a little bit about this one. This is the Bulleit Bourbon Mesquite Smoked Malt Limited Edition. It is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey by Diageo. It was distilled at Bulleit Distilling Company in Shelbyville, Kentucky. Its mash bill is 65% corn, 30% mesquite smoked malted barley, and 5% malted barley. It is aged 6 years. It was distilled in November of 2018 and then dumped in 2025. Its proof is 93. Its SRP is $50. It was released March 2nd of 2026, and we purchased it on March 29th of 2026. This is their first ever straight bourbon crafted without any rye grain in the mash bill. It's part of their experimental new make and new grain exploration project, and it was $50.
And I remember this being up toward the front of the gift shop. And actually, on a side note, that's another really good thing to do when you're there is go through the gift shop. It's probably one of the better ones on the trail.
It's very nice. They have lots of bottles, lots of other cool stuff. I mean, they have a huge library of books.
They do.
And they have golf stuff and soap. And I mean, they really do it all up. So that's pretty interesting. What I understand is mesquite smoke. So they took the malt and put it over mesquite wood and smoked the malted barley. So I'm expecting a little bit of a barbecue, which is kind of funny why I put the barbecue in barrels glass with this one.
And this was right up toward the front. I believe it was right near the register. And that's where they indicated it was probably a limited edition. And like, well, $50, like, well, can we try it? So we went over and tried the thing, like, okay, I think we're going to buy a bottle and risk it. And so here we are to go ahead and try this malted barley mesquite bourbon. I'm not sure.
I'll say we also bought 2 bottles.
2 bottles?
Because, like a year ago after we got to Kansas City, I kept trying to find a way to make a cocktail that tasted like Kansas City barbecue. And all I could think of when I first tasted this is, wow, this would be amazing in a cocktail. So if I wanted to go back and recreate that, or to drink something when you're having barbecue, it's so hard to find a bourbon to pair with it. So I'm going to see today if that still sings to me that way. Wow, yeah, you get that mesquite right there.
Oh, the mesquite, yeah. It's definitely up front.
It's a little hard to smell anything else on the nose besides the mesquite.
Yeah, the mesquite it's taken over the glass, but I don't think it's obnoxious.
I'm just
very pleasant.
I'm just not picking up any other notes because it's so strong. And I'm sure there's some of you out there that would be like, oh no, I don't even want to go near that. And that's fine. But I really enjoy smoking meat and things like that. And I love real authentic barbecues. So this kind of sang to me that day.
And Bulleit, I mean, if you know the history with Bulleit, it's really the bourbon that brought bourbon back because bartenders were looking for bourbon for cocktails. And so Bulleit kind of came about because of that. And so it stands to reason that these guys would attempt to do something in this lane.
I'm ready to give her a taste.
I am too. So cheers to the mesquite smoked bourbon.
Cheers. If you don't get mesquite on this, you need to get your palate checked. I'm just saying. It's not a flavor you've got to go looking for. And I'm saying that in the most embracing manner.
It's mesquite. There's also a sweetness with it, which is really odd. I don't mean off-putting odd. It's just not something I would expect. It's almost a confectionery sugar that's kind of popping up in the background. Because I'm not getting a caramel and I'm not getting a fruit, but there's a sweetness that's there.
Well, the corn could be leading a little bit.
I wonder how this would go with brisket.
I think it'd be great. So often, we've tried to find bourbons to drink with a barbecue meal, and it just doesn't work. There's just something that it just doesn't go together. I think this would be amazing, truthfully. I'd probably still want to put it in a cocktail of some sort, like an old-fashioned with barbecue old-fashioned, so to speak. That would be great. Eating brisket, having this, I think it'd be pretty cool.
I think this would be funny to try with a cigar. I don't know how it would go, but we just had a recent talk with a friend of ours, and if he's watching, he's going to know the conversation, talking about cigar batches and pairing with cigars. And this thing here is so crazy that I think it would be funny. It'd be going back and forth between the smokiness, whatever, and then with a cigar. So it might work.
My guess is you'd probably have to select a lighter, sweeter wrapper so that this would be the star and the cigar would just be complementing it.
Yeah.
You couldn't go with something like dark and flavorful. That'd probably be really bad.
Like My Father the Judge, it'd probably be just like...
Well, and that's got chocolate notes, so you definitely wouldn't want to be really weird chocolate and mesquite.
Barbecue chocolate,
And the proof is light on this, so I don't get a huge finish on it.
But I think it's where it needs to be.
Oh, I agree.
I think even if you bump this up to 100, then I think it would start to become a little obnoxious. I think the proof has to be down to balance out the mesquite. And I personally like it. I wouldn't consider it a daily drinker, but boy, I tell you, this is a bottle you want for a change-up, for somebody that thinks they've had everything. Because this is probably something they haven't had. And the fact that you can use it in cocktails, I think it'd be funny in an old-fashioned.
I actually played around yesterday with a couple recipes. I was playing with what I might do and put it into AI and say, what might I make with a fun recipe with this? And spit out a few that I might try and give a shot to maybe next month or something. But I think it's fun. I mean, if you like barbecue, you should, if you can find this, I would definitely give it a try. Maybe you'll see it at one of your local bars. You can try a taste of it there. That would be the way to go probably. Or if you happen to be in Shelbyville, stop in Bulleit. You can probably get a pour there. But I think it's great. I'm really glad we bought it. And for $50, it's a pretty unique bottle of bourbon to have on our shelf.
And it concluded a really good day that we had there. And the staff at Bulleit is really nice. Gift shop is incredible. The bar that they did a tasting is solid. When you enter, they also have coffee available up front if you're sitting around and waiting. And they also, we didn't mention this at the beginning, the area up front where you wait to get the bus, they have a lot of really comfy places to sit. Not a lot of them, but they have couches. There was about, I would say it was 8 to 10 of us who were sitting up in front in fairly comfortable conditions, with a little fireplace going on the side. It was very cool. So you really, if you haven't been there, you need to show up and go there and give them some support. It's
only a few minutes off the 64. So if you're heading to Louisville or heading to Frankfurt, I mean, it's right smack in the middle there, really. And just pop in there and give them a shout. I think you'd really enjoy it.
Yeah. So I'm going to raise my glass. I'm going to go to glass number 1 because there's more in it. And give a cheers out there to everybody at Bulleit. It's a wonderful tour and a wonderful facility, and you make some really solid stuff. If you like what we do, hit the subscribe button. Always remember to drink responsibly. Today, go bite the Bulleit and drink some Bulleit. Cheers.
Cheers.